Well, good Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. And we have a main topic tonight, not of the tropics, not of heat, but of severe thunderstorms, especially severe thunderstorms next week. And the main storyline here, a cool down could spark severe thunderstorms next week. A cool down could spark severe thunderstorms next week. What do I mean by that? I will get into what I mean in just a moment, but before we get into that, what's on tap for tonight? Low overall rain chances with isolated convection possible this evening. Severe threat is obviously diminishing, but we do still have some strong storms out there. I'll talk about that in just a second. Continued hot condition with highs in the mid 90s, heat indices 100 to 105 degrees. Possible heat advisories on Sunday. And then hot and humid pattern holds into early next week. Possible additional heat advisories again early next week. And a better rain chance with potential severe weather next midweek. So next week, midweek. If you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go in and do so. It's free. It's free. It's free. It helps me out. And obviously, it also helps me get out better content. So it's better for y'all as well. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Share with all the people that you know, friends, family members, acquaintances, people that you don't talk to regularly. And so what's currently going on? Well, in terms of what's currently going on in terms of the state of South Carolina, we do have some rainfall going in, in the Midlands, going on inside the low country. We see some rainfall down in the western low country. We see some rainfall going on from just to the north of Lyman to the west of Boiling Springs, Five Forks, even downtown Greenville, receiving some rain showers right now as we speak. But look over here, Anderson, going over towards Iva, due west, Anhonia Path, Belton. These areas have a special weather statement that's in effect for the next 28 minutes for wind gusts of up to 40 miles per hour. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. So, if you're in this area up here in the light blue in the upstate, make sure that you are paying attention for this storm over the next 30 minutes or so. Now, as we look and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on over inside Maine. We see some severe weather going on in Pennsylvania with even I believe that is a tornado warning. Yep, tornado warning in Pennsylvania as well. So you also have some more rainfall over inside of the Mid-Atlantic, down into the Carolinas, obviously, Georgia, Alabama, Florida getting in on some rainfall from that low pressure system, Texas getting in on some severe weather and some flooding, even over there inside of Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, all the way up into Montana. Severe weather going on up in those areas. Now, what's going on in terms of our cloud cover? Well, it looks like for right now, cloud cover seems to be restricted up there towards the upstate where that thunderstorm is. See some cloud cover in the Midland areas, maybe even the Piedmont areas. Western Low Country seems to have some as well, but look over there in the Grand Strand areas. Look over there inside the PD areas. Nice, clear conditions right there. Now, as we look at our cloud cover for the future, as you go over into tonight, going into early tomorrow morning, cloud cover activity does decide it wants to try and maybe kind of just stay up there in the upstate, maybe stay in the northern PD areas. And then by the time you get into around the afternoon hours to around 2 p.m., going all the way to around 4, 5, 6 p.m. or so, you see some of that cloud cover activity start to dissipate a little bit. But watch as we get into around 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, going even into 1 a.m. on Monday, we're seeing some more cloud cover resurgence coming in. We move over into Monday morning, here around 9, 10, 11 a.m. or so. Cloud cover activity again, kind of just going on throughout like the low country, the PD, Midland areas. But watch as we get into the afternoon on Monday, cloud cover again tries to make itself known. Now, in terms of our current temperatures right now, we're talking about around a good 83 in Somerville, Charleston, 84 Beaufort, 85 Hilton Island, even around a good 84 in Conway, 84 in Myrtle Beach, and 83 Myrtle's Inlet, 83 Georgetown, and even around a good 81 in Columbia, 79 in Union, 78 Greenville's, 79 inside of Spartanburg, even 78 in York, 80 inside of Clemson. Now, as we go in and talk about our air quality, it does look like that we are mainly looking at some moderate conditions from Spartanburg over towards Columbia, over into the Tri-County area of Dorchester, Berkeley, Charleston County, maybe even going into Colleton County as well. Some moderate air quality as we go into tonight. So if you're in the yellow areas, make sure that you are paying attention to that air quality for tonight if you're outside for a long period of time. Now, for our low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 73 in Greenville, Spartanburg, 75 in Columbia, even 75 in Orangeburg, 76 Moncks Corner, and 82 in Charleston, 81 Hilton Head Island, and 80 in Myrtle Beach, 78 Georgetown, and even 77 in Florence. High temperatures for tomorrow, talking about 93 Greenville, Spartanburg, 93 Newburgh, even 95 in Columbia, 96 in Orangeburg, and 96 in Moncks Corner, 93 in Charleston, and 95 in Georgetown, 93 in Myrtle Beach, and Hilton Head Island. Heat index values for tomorrow. It's going to be hot tomorrow. Again, everybody will be 100 plus in terms of heat index values. Even if you look over there towards Myrtle Beach, seem like that's where the highest area will be, around 109 as a heat index value as the high. 107 in Charleston, 106 in Georgetown, 109 also over there in Columbia. I didn't even notice Columbia being up to 109 as well, I guess because there's a bunch of white over there on the eastern side towards Myrtle Beach. But yeah, Columbia also is near 109. Now, in terms of rainfall for the next 24 hours, you can definitely see a good amount of rainfall from the upstate to the Midlands, even into portions of the Grand Strand areas and the Low Country. But mainly, I'm seeing a good amount of that rainfall in the upstate, 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch from Greenville to Spartanburg to Rock Hill to Columbia, even over towards Girard, Florence, Dillon. All of these areas around 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch. You also have some areas that may get up to around a 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch in Winsboro, Anderson, and then maybe even a quarter of an inch to a half an inch in some other spots as well. So overall, half an inch of rainfall is definitely possible over the next 24 hours for some areas. Now, what about for the SPC outlook? Well, if we go in and see what is going on in terms of the official release, did they change it? No, they have not updated it yet. So I can't really do anything with it. So this is the latest update that we have as around 3 o'clock p.m. And what they have here is a slight risk of severe weather up there inside of the Piedmont areas up there just to the north of Rock Hill, going in York, going on inside of Gaffney. These areas have a slight risk of severe weather still really for tonight. Again, we'll see if they get rid of that. But for right now, it does seem like right now that it is kind of just trying to move its way. Any storms that are over in that area kind of just trying to move their way over towards the east now. So honestly, this area that we have here for tonight, it may not be completely done. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. Models for the future doesn't really show much. In fact, it had a good amount of activity going on at this point in time. But I guess, we'll see if they keep it. I'm really just interested to see what they will say in the next update for the slight risk and the marginal risk. But what are the risks? Well, damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour. In the yellow, you have a 15% risk, and if you're in the dark green, you have a 5%. If you're not in either, you're in the light green. No risk of thunderstorm activity. And then as you go over into tomorrow, Sunday, July 19th, another day of severe weather up there towards Rock Hill, over towards Pageland, over towards Girard. Slight risk of severe weather. Why? It is again for damaging winds. In that 15% risk for the yellow, 5% for the green, dark green, and then if you're in the light green, a regular thunderstorm risk. And then finally on day 3, which is Monday, July the 20th, it doesn't really show too much here except for just a little marginal risk over there near Rock Hill, moving on over down towards the I-95 area, just to the north of Florence. Now, there is one day that we're watching for days 4 through 8, and it does seem like that we do have a slight risk of severe weather still on Wednesday, and what do you know, it actually expanded its way down towards the south. Remember, I kind of said yesterday, the models will shift, things will shift, and there's a good chance that this thing could shift down towards the south, and we only had around like the northern PD areas really in that slight risk. Now, it's almost all of the PD, and then even a little bit of the Piedmont going into the Midland area. So if you are inside of that yellow area, you have a 15% risk of severe weather on Wednesday. So we're going to go over the models on that, once we get there. But first, excessive rainfall-wise, we're good for tonight. Tomorrow, isolated flash flooding possible for the upstate going over into the northern PD areas. And then as we move over into day 3, which is Monday, another risk of isolated flash flooding again from the upstate over into the Bennettsville, the Dillon areas. Day 4, this is This is Tuesday here. Tuesday, nothing here, but Wednesday. Wednesday. I'm keeping an eye on Wednesday because I think that the slight risk of excessive rainfall may try to expand a little bit. We'll see what happens. But regardless, everybody has a risk of flash flooding on Wednesday. If you're in the green, you have a 5%. If you're in the yellow over here towards North Myrtle Beach, going over towards Dillon, you have a 15% risk of flash flooding. Now, in terms of the crazy score right now, we're at a 13. I think for right now we're just towards that northern calm category because number one, we have that special weather statement over there inside of the Anderson area, the Oneida Path, the Belton, due west areas of South Carolina. So that does push it up. But also just conditions in general also does decide to push it up a little bit. Cloud cover not really being too much of a factor. I think it really just has to do with winds and then also just the fact that it is, still a bit warm for a good amount of these areas that also may kind of make it a bit more warmer and a bit more higher than it should. I mean, just taking a look at those low temperatures again for tonight, I mean, 80s towards the coastal areas. That is pretty warm. So that could definitely try and push the score up there. So let's go in now and take a look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Please make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, as that is very important to do so. And as we start off here at 9 o'clock p.m., we move over towards the east at around 10 p.m., 11 to 12 a.m. Look at all these showers and storms that's continuing to move its way over towards the east. Even as you get into around 1 a.m., you still see some showers and, maybe some downpours going on. So I don't think that we're necessarily going to be done, even as we go into the late night hours here. Now, as we go into early tomorrow morning, things look dry. We go into the afternoon, we're starting to see maybe a couple little isolated showers and, downpours trying to go on by noon in the Midlands, PD areas maybe. But watch as we get into like the later on afternoon, going into the early evening, 5 to 6 p.m. tomorrow. We're looking at some showers, some storms moving into the upstate areas, and watch how it kind of tries to condense into a linear mode, like a line of storms, as you move into like 9 p.m., for example. You go over into Sunday night, and then Monday, early morning, like 2 o'clock in the morning comes along, we still could have some showers and some storms going on Monday early. But then as we go like into like 7 a.m., 8, 9, 10 a.m. or so, you see some rainfall, from maybe even some downpour activity going on, going into like Monday 8 a.m., moving into the afternoon time frame. We even are seeing some more rainfall towards our north as we get into the afternoon hours on Monday. So things overall are taking a bit of an active turn. I mean, active multiple days of severe weather. Monday, probably not going to be as bad as like Sunday. I mean, you can even see Sunday night going into Monday early morning, maybe a bit bad. But as you go into like Monday afternoon, Monday night, don't know if it's going to be quite that bad, as we only have a little marginal risk up there. Now, as we go in and take a look at our long-term future, we start off here at around 2 o'clock p.m. Watch as we push this forward. I'm watching Tuesday. Tuesday comes along. Seems like it could be just a regular rainfall, thunderstorm, summer pattern type day. But one thing I also am looking at is Wednesday, because Wednesday is the day that, the big system's going to try and move in and bring in some severe weather. And as we go into 5 p.m., going all the way to 8 p.m., there it is, moving its way down into the state, 8, 11 o'clock p.m., even moving into the evening hours, moving into Thursday, even going into Thursday afternoon. Look how much rainfall we could have moving in the low country areas, the Grand Strand area. So we could definitely see some severe storms obviously moving into Thursday, some excessive rainfall risk as we move into Thursday as well. But another thing that I am looking at afterwards is what that low pressure does after it moves its way off of the coast of South Carolina, because you can see it kind of tries to maybe gain some sort of tropical characteristics to it. It moves off the coast, it moves over into the Atlantic, and then overall it just starts to sit and starts to gain strength, but it moves its way up towards the north and east, kind of away from us. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that next week, but overall I'm not too worried about that right now. And then just seems like more active conditions, a more active pattern as we move into the end of July. Then as we move into early August, here, things are a bit too far out, but we still do see some storm systems trying to make its way through into early August. Now, as we go on and take a look at our ingredients for the severe weather on Wednesday, first thing I obviously want to look at is the moisture. I'm not, I'm obviously not too shocked that there is not, there is the moisture. I don't think anybody should really be shocked. We've been talking about how pretty much these systems are going to have the moisture for. I mean, that's not really even up for debate at this point. We're up in the 70s in terms of dew points. Now, as we go on and take a look at the height in the upper atmosphere, we do see some winds, not a whole lot, but, we do see some winds up in the upper atmosphere. But again, not really a whole lot here. And then the last thing I like to go on and look at is the Cape. What does the Cape have to say? Well, to be honest, it does show a good amount of Cape. I mean, from 2,000, 100, 2,300, all the way up to around 2,500 in terms of Cape levels as we move over into Wednesday. And even near the coastal areas, you may even see some severe weather even on Wednesday there. So again, that slight risk could expand, or it could, just be a marginal risk of severe weather wherever, it would want to be at, wherever the SPC decides to put it at. But the Cape levels is there. I mean, it looks like almost all modes are there. The only thing that I'm not too sure about is those winds up in the upper atmosphere, which that would support a tornado threat. But obviously, I don't think this is going to be a big tornado threat at all, if any. So I think it's mainly going to be damaging wind, maybe a hail threat, but that's about all. Not really seeing anything in terms of a tornado threat right now. Now, as we go on and see how much rainfall we could potentially receive over the next 384 hours according to the GEFS. The GEFS has us around maybe 1.9 inches or so, maybe up to around 4-5 inches of rainfall over the next 384 hours. So a good amount of rainfall for sure as we move over into the next 384 hours. Now, as you move into the European model, have around 2 to maybe even close to 4 inches of rainfall as we move throughout the next 360 hours. So we're looking at a good amount of rainfall over the next 360, 380 hours or so. And I definitely do believe that we will continue to see that active activity throughout this time period. Really try to bring our drought levels down. Because obviously, as we know, we're inside of a pretty big drought right now, extreme drought for a lot of us. In the red, if you're in the orange, that's a D2, that's a severe drought. The tan, which is the D1, that's the moderate drought. And then the yellow, that's a D0. That's not a drought, but it is abnormally dry, and definitely you still, would want some rainfall, but not as much as the drought areas, obviously. So now let's go on and take a look at our temperatures. And so this is where the main forecast, the main area, main topic comes into play. A cool down could spark severe thunderstorms next week. A cool down could spark severe thunderstorms next week. And so we talked about the severe thunderstorms, but let's talk about the cool down that we're going to have. The cold front that's also associated with these severe thunderstorms. So as we go on and take a look going into Saturday, moving over into Sunday or so, and even as we go into Monday. As we go over into Monday, Tuesday or so, things continue to stay hot. But watch Wednesday. Wednesday comes along, and it doesn't look quite too hot. You're around like 7 to 10 degrees above average. Not as hottest, but still pretty hot nonetheless. But as you move over into Thursday is the day that I'm watching for, because as that cold front moves in with the severe weather on Wednesday, a cold front will be behind that system. And it will obviously cause us to try and cool down a little bit. Even if we go into Friday, for example, Friday afternoon, we're only going to be around 2 degrees above average. Some areas, only, on average, some areas around 1 to 2 degrees below average as we move into the afternoon there on Friday. You move over into Saturday. Saturday, things try to get back to normal, though. And Sunday of next weekend looks even worse. I mean, 20 degrees above average. That would be a major heat there. That would be major heat there. So the heat's not done. Obviously, we know the heat's not done. The cool downs aren't done either, though, and they could happen even before we get into August, though. So we'll see what happens though with this, but no, a cool down again is coming back next week. Next week, Thursday, it seems to be the day. What time exactly? I don't know the exact time, but what I do know is that a cool down is coming Wednesday or Thursday. Now, as we go on and take a look at our actual temperatures themselves, we move over into Saturday, going over into Monday. I mean, it's going to be hot. We know it is. Going into Tuesday, Wednesday, we're up into the upper 90s or so. Thursday comes along, though, and there goes our high temperatures, being in the mid 90s, still pretty hot. But watch Friday. Friday in the lower 90s, maybe even the upper 80s as we go into Friday. Saturday comes along, and guess what? We're right back to being hot with even some of those real temperatures. We're not talking about heat index values. We're talking about actual temperatures being near 106 or so as we move into next week Sunday. Again, next week Sunday could be really hot. So I'm keeping an eye on that as we go over into next weekend to see what that type of heat may try to do. Now, let's see what's going on in terms of the actual heat index values. Well, we know over the next couple of days it's going to be around 105, maybe even 110 degrees over the next couple of days. But past Wednesday, going into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next weekend, I mean, we can see for sure over there in the western areas of the Mississippi area, going into Louisiana and Arkansas, they're going to be up to around 115, 116 or so. Will it reach us over here in South Carolina? I mean, see a lot of 110s, maybe some 111s. But I'm not seeing too much past that, like over there where they are. And then even if you move into that Monday afterwards, it still looks pretty warm. Now, what's going on in terms of temperatures after we get past next week? Next weekend, I should say. It does look like temperatures are going to continue to average out in the lower 90s. So overall, not too bad. Not too bad, but still hot regardless. And I don't really see too much of a cool down as we move into August, but we'll see what happens there. So now it is tropics time because we had a pretty big upgrade today for this area of interest in the Gulf. It's the 8 o'clock p.m. update here. This is Invest 91. We talked about it this morning. And what it could, what the models were saying, what it could potentially do to some areas. And so this is what it currently looks like right now. Again, this is what it currently looks like right now. And you can definitely see that it does have some moisture with it. Obviously, it is, kind of spinning up a little bit. But it's still disorganized. Still not too organized here. Now, what do they say in terms of their actual discussion for it? Well, they say that the satellite images and service observations indicate that a broad surface low is located over the eastern Gulf. The associated winds are currently light, and the shower and thunderstorm activity remains disorganized. However, gradual development of this system is possible, and it could become a tropical depression while it moves slowly north or north-northwest during the next few days. Interest along the Florida Gulf Coast, southern Alabama, and southwestern Georgia should monitor the progress of this system as it is expected to bring heavy rainfall to portions of that region during the next several days. And there will be an aircraft that will be scheduled to investigate the system on Sunday if it is needed. So what are the percentages looking like for this? Well, this has a 40% chance to form, which is higher than the 20% chance that it had this morning to form over the next 48 hours, and then a 50% chance. So now we have a 50-50 shot of this thing forming over the next 7 days, higher than the 30% that was this morning. So overall, a lot of things are upgrading with this, and it looks like that a lot of models are starting to catch on, and a lot of models are trying to, maybe try to get more together and giving a more higher output scenario for this storm system. Well, what do I mean by that? Look over here towards the hurricane models. Look at the hurricane models. A lot of them go west, a lot of them go, to the north, but look how many tried to turn its way over into the east now. Look how many try to turn its way over near Florida, over in Alabama, Georgia, and into the Carolinas, obviously. So this is a pretty big shift. We didn't really see this too much, too long ago. And if we go on and even take a look at the GEFS has it kind of moving towards the east. But the thing is with the GEFS is it doesn't really think that much is going to happen with this system. It doesn't think it's going to form into anything really if it does. Just like a tropical depression, but that's about it. Not really even a tropical storm or anything. And then the ensembles for the European. The European is still kind of focused on that westward track, and it thinks that if it does stay to that westward track there, it's gonna get stronger, it's gonna stay over water for longer, so it's gonna get stronger, and it may cause a hurricane to go over towards Louisiana or maybe even towards Texas. But if it continues its way eastward, it'll be, a little bit less weak. And then it will kind of move its way up into Florida, bring some storm winds over there, and then move its way over into Georgia and die off, and maybe bring its way over into South Carolina a little bit, bringing some heavy rainfall with it. Now, as we go on and look at the intensity guidance, obviously, they're all over the place right now, but a lot of them are kind of just sticking towards that lower end tropical storm. A couple of them go over towards hurricane status. One of them even gets up to category 2. So, models, I think they're trying to get more together, especially the ensemble ones. Hurricane models, I mean, they always usually try to do almost their own thing, but the ensembles, I think they're trying to get a bit more together. But overall, they still are not completely correct. I wouldn't say correct, but they're not completely in line with one another. They're not completely in line with one another right now. So that's all the things that I pretty much have to say here. In terms of the tropics, I mean, we just have to continue to watch for this thing, just kind of to continue to see what happens with it. And, obviously tomorrow morning, once we get more, model guidance, whenever we get more ensemble guidance for it, obviously I will be here in the morning to let you know about it. But that's all that I have to say here in terms of the tropics and just in terms of the main forecast for tonight. So let's go on now and talk with the audience, because if I'm not mistaken, there was no earthquake today. There was not. So we're going to go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say here for tonight. Starting off with, do not want to end the stream. That would not be the best idea. Starting off with my Aunt Lewis, she was here first tonight. Says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Today in Georgetown, it was pretty hot. Our high temperature today was around 92. Felt like 100. Currently, it's 84. We did have some cloud cover with the cookout in the park. There was a good breeze to help out. We had a great time in spite of the heat. I noticed that a cool down is on the way because of those thunderstorms. Yes, absolutely. Severe weather that tries to come in on Wednesday. That's going to bring in some cooler conditions for us. Now, obviously, it's going to be like high 80s, low 90s. A lot of people may not think that that's cool, but compared to what we've been experiencing, it's definitely cooler than average, and cooler than average for the end of July. My Nana says, hello, Jane all. Hello to you. The day was good in spite of the heat. We got the grass cut and the water hose in the backyard untangled. We got some soil in the area that we cleaned up. We need about 3 more bags. You did a great job on the car. Thank you so much. Well, no problem. No problem at all. And that's all that I can see here in terms of the chat. What happened at my house today? Well, it seems like currently it's 83. Feels like 92. High temperature for today was 93. It felt like around 105, 106 at times. And then we actually did get some rainfall today. Wasn't really expected though, but we did get some rainfall today. 0.03 inches of rainfall for today with the max gust of only around 10 miles per hour. So not too much to really say there. And that's all that I have to say here in terms of the audience for tonight. So top fan question of the night for tonight. Pretty simple one for tonight. If you don't know what top fan of the night is, it's pretty much where we get all the subscribers. They have the ability to go on and type inside the chat whatever the answer to my question is. If you get the answer correct, you're top fan of the night for tonight. Obviously no money reward or anything like that. Just a shout out to say thank you for paying attention and being alert to the forecast. So the main question for tonight is, when I was talking about the heat index values, I said 2 areas, and there's 2 answers to this question. So we can have 2 people be top fan of the night for tonight. I said that there was 2 areas inside of the state that were tied together in terms of heat index values for tomorrow that were the highest. What were those 2 areas? What were those 2 areas? Or I guess what was the one area? Because remember, only should be answering one. Only should be answering one. But what was one of those areas that I called out that I said was the hottest in terms of heat index values for tomorrow? If you get that correct, you'll be top fan of the night for tonight. But while they're answering that, let's go and talk about the 3 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 3 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 3 areas because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. Also, we've had 29 people tune in tonight, and we only have 7 likes. If you're a part of that group of 22 that have not hit the like button yet, please go on and do so. It's free, it's free, it's free. So we're going to start off with Raleigh first. You have low temperatures tonight at 75, high temperatures for tomorrow at 95, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. There is a chance of thunderstorms tonight, tomorrow, chance of thunderstorms as well, and then tomorrow night, thunderstorms are expected. Again, thunderstorms are expected. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, I mean, you definitely have a risk for some severe weather and excessive rainfall. Starting off with your severe weather first tomorrow, scattered damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour is possible as you go into tomorrow. Then on Monday, isolated severe storms is possible. And then on Wednesday, scattered severe storms is possible. So you have a lot to watch for in terms of severe weather. And then excessive rainfall wise, nothing for tonight, but tomorrow, scattered flash flooding. Monday, isolated flash flooding. Tuesday, isolated flash flooding. And then on Wednesday, scattered flash flooding once again. So excessive rainfall and severe weather are going to be your main areas to really watch for as you move throughout the next 5 days. Now, as we go on and look at your future, it does look like temperature-wise you're going to continue to stay up into the 90s. But as you get more into next week, watch, because those temperatures will drop down to the mid-80s or so, but looks like as you get into the weekend, they may try to climb their way back up into the upper 80s. Now, in terms of Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 73, high temperatures for tomorrow at 85, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 65. Heavy rainfall is expected for tonight. Tomorrow, you're not seeing anything there. In terms of severe weather, you do have a risk still for tonight. They still kept that isolated risk of tornadoes and of damaging winds there. So make sure that you are watching out for any sort of severe weather that may try to come your way as it moves its way down towards your south and east. Now, as we go on and take a look at your future, because you do have a risk of severe weather on Wednesday as well, same thing as Raleigh and same thing with the good amount of areas in South Carolina, you have a risk of severe weather on Wednesday once again. Excessive rainfall-wise, you also do have a risk of excessive rainfall for tonight, scattered flash flooding, and then on Tuesday and Wednesday, you have a risk of isolated flash flooding there. And then for your future, it does look like that you will continue to go on and just receive some of those mid-80s. And even as you go into like the next 7 days, it looks like you may continue in the mid-80s. Tomorrow, going into Monday, you also look dry, but going into Tuesday, going on to Wednesday, rainfall is possible there. And then finally, for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 72, high temperatures for tomorrow at 96, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. Slight chance of thunderstorms for tonight, but tomorrow, no precipitation is expected. And just for the future, you're not expecting that. It's going to be hot, though. Extremely hot as you move throughout Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, all next week, you're going to have high temperatures, except for Monday, in the 100s. So that's not even including heat index values. So it's going to be hot. Obviously, in terms of severe weather, excessive rainfall, you don't have that risk at all. And that's all I have to say here in terms of our 3 areas outside of South Carolina. What's going on in terms of the entire U.S. weather news-wise? Well, scattered strong to severe storms may pose a risk for damaging wind gusts over the Carolinas, southeastern Virginia, and the Tennessee Valley going into tomorrow. Then the northern plains from the late afternoon into Sunday night. Monsoonal thunderstorms may cause locally considerable flash and urban and small stream flooding in the southwest over the next few days there. Also, air quality due to the Canadian wildfires will continue up in the Midwest from Illinois to Indiana to Michigan to Wisconsin, Minnesota, all the way up into the Northeast from New York to Maine. It's looking like it's going to be active there, even in Maryland and West Virginia. Some heat also will go on in areas of Missouri, southern Illinois, going into areas of Mississippi and Louisiana. The central U.S. will get hot, and then some fire weather over there inside of Washington and Oregon. I see. Please repeat the question. My question was, what was the two highest areas for heat index values for tomorrow? You only have to answer one. I said that there was two. There could be two top fans of the night for tonight if you want to get that correct. Again, you have two areas that were tied tomorrow for heat index values. If you get one of those correct, you can go in and be top fan of the night for tonight. Again, the two highest heat index values tomorrow for the state. And honestly, that's all that I can see here for me. A couple of things real quick before we go on and get out. Number one, remember next week, starting on Monday, the forecast will be at 8 o'clock p.m., not 9 o'clock p.m., 8 o'clock p.m. On Monday of next week, we will be starting off at 8 o'clock p.m. next week on Monday. So make sure that you are aware of that, obviously, because, we don't want some people to think that it's still 9 o'clock. And then I'll keep on reminding you throughout tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, Monday morning, and I already put out a post about it as well. So that's number one. And then number two, if you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go in and do so. 32 people have tuned in tonight, and we will still only have 7 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 25 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Hit the share button as well. Friends, family members, acquaintances, and people that you don't talk to regularly, because it's free. It's free. It's free. And that's all that I can see here. I don't see any answers for us right now as I currently speak. So, I don't see anything. So I guess that is about it for tonight. The two answers for tonight, by the way, which let me refresh my chat just to make sure I'm not missing anything. No, I'm not missing anything. The two answers for tonight was Columbia and then also Myrtle Beach. Those two areas were the hottest in terms of heat index values for tomorrow that I called out for. So those two areas seem to be going to be the hotter areas. And that's all that I can see here in terms of the state, in terms of the U.S. So we're gonna get out. I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Sunday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening for your Sunday evening forecast update. It's another week forecast, and this time it is the last full week of July, the 19th going into the 25th. The week after that, it will be the 26th and then going into August the 1st on that Saturday. So next week is the last full week of July. Only 3 full weeks for this month here. But that's all. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Make sure that you're there. Remember, next week, 8 p.m. Hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you're new.